Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we take those classic, often heavy sources, stack them up with some fresh research, and try to extract the surprisingly relevant insights for you.
And today we are tackling a big one.
We really are. We're taking a deep dive into one of the most famous and frankly most misunderstood passages in ancient literature, the final chapter of the book of Proverbs, Proverbs 31.
It's a text that carries, well, a lot of cultural baggage. It's often reduced to this simple domestic ideal.
A kind of checklist.
Exactly. But when you look at the source material, the original Hebrew, the historical context, and the rich commentary around it, you realize pretty quickly it's far more than a blueprint for a wife.
It's really a treatise on competence.
A comprehensive one on competence, strategic leadership, and even ancient Near Eastern economics.
Okay, so let's unpack that, because even just structurally, this chapter is a bit unusual, right? We're not dealing with a single topic here.
No, you're right. It's two very distinct pieces of wisdom sort of combined into one chapter. That's really the starting point for our analysis.
It's split.
It's split. The first 9 verses are this sharp, direct counsel from a mother to her royal son. It's all about how to govern.
And then?
Then, starting at verse 10, the tone shifts completely, and we get this celebrated, very structured poem, the blueprint for the Eshet Chayil, the noble woman.
So our mission today is pretty clear then. We want to extract that strategic guide for ethical leadership from the first half, and then, analyze the comprehensive, really A to Z blueprint for capability and economic power that defines the second half.
And we need to understand why this ancient text is holding up competence and moral authority as really the ultimate definition of worth.
Let's start with the king, because that instruction is so sharp and immediate. The chapter opens, the words of King Lemuel, the burden that his mother taught him.
And that word burden, it's not like a chore. It's this heavy, urgent counsel being impressed upon a future leader.
This is not just bedtime reading.
Not at all. It is the deepest form of personal instruction. The mother uses this intensely personal language, repeating, "O son of my womb," and "O son of my vows."
She's reminding him of where he came from.
Of his origins and the commitments he carries. Even his name, Lemuel, means belonging to God. So she's linking his personal identity directly to his royal duty. She's trying to impose restraint on someone who's about to inherit, limitless power.
And she goes right for the 2 biggest temptations that ruin leaders, in any era: sexual excess and substance abuse.
Precisely. She warns him against giving his strength to women, specifically to those who ruin kings. That's a clear recognition of the political vulnerability that comes with self-indulgence.
But the second warning, the one about strong drink, seems even more critical when you think about governance.
Oh, absolutely. Because what is the core job of a king?
Judgment.
Judgment. If you are drinking wine, if you're craving strong drink, you run the risk of forgetting what is decreed, the law itself. And if you do that, you deprive all the oppressed of justice.
The implication is that if your mind is clouded, you just can't uphold the social contract.
You can't. And what I find so fascinating here is the contrast she draws.
Right. She doesn't say alcohol is evil or that it should be banned for everyone.
No, not at all. She makes this incredibly nuanced distinction between, let's call it professional use and analgesic use. She says you should give strong drink to one who is perishing, or wine to the bitter in soul.
So they can forget their misery.
Exactly. It is an acceptable pain reliever for people who are suffering, but it is entirely unacceptable for the person holding the scales of justice.
So the standard is crystal clear. Leadership demands sobriety. Not for personal piety necessarily, but for the sake of the people you serve. Which leads right into the positive charge. What's the one thing he must do?
He must open your mouth for those with no voice. His primary duty is to judge righteously and defend the cause of the poor and needy.
So the text is defining political power not as a tool for your own comfort, but as an engine for advocacy.
For social justice. And that concept, the virtuous ruler defined by his care for the vulnerable, that's central to the entire wisdom tradition. Our sources point out this instruction prefigures the idealized leadership of the messianic king you see in the Psalms.
A ruler who champions the poor and the broken. It sets a profoundly high moral standard.
So now, having set that high bar for the king, we transition seamlessly into this model of proactive strategic competence.
The famous portrait of the noble character, starting in verse 10. And we immediately notice the structure, which, as you said, is an acrostic poem.
Exactly. Every verse begins with the next letter of the Hebrew alphabet, from Aleph all the way to Taf.
And what's the significance of that? I mean, is it just a clever writing trick, a way to help you memorize it?
Well, it's partly that, but it's much more. Using the entire alphabet symbolizes completeness, totality. It's a signal to the listener that this is the comprehensive A to Z definition of covenant capability.
Nothing is left out.
There's nothing left out of this portrait of excellence.
And central to that excellence is the title itself, Eshet Chayil. We usually hear that translated as virtuous woman or good wife.
Which really misses the power of it.
It misses the raw power of the Hebrew word chayil.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Chayil, C-H-A-Y-I-L, that's the same word used over and over in the Old Testament to describe the valor of brave soldiers or the strength of a powerful army.
So this woman is not meek.
Not at all. She's characterized by strength, by valor, capability, efficiency. She is a powerhouse.
And that just immediately changes the way you read the rest of the poem. It's not a checklist of gentle domestic tasks.
No, it's a list of powerful achievements. And her value is quantified immediately, but only to show that it transcends quantification. She's far more precious than rubies.
Her worth is greater than any material wealth. She's a priceless asset to her family and her community because of her character.
And all of that priceless value is built on one single foundational trait.
Trustworthiness.
Trustworthiness. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he lacks nothing of value. That's the bedrock. If you zoom out, that trust is the foundation for all the economic activity that follows.
He can engage in civic life because he knows the whole engine of their household is running efficiently and ethically.
Bringing him only good, not harm.
So here's where the deep dive really pays off, I think, because we go from character into action. And this is where she proves she's running a diversified business empire.
Not just knitting socks by the fire.
Definitely not. Her diligence is just relentless. The description of her work ethic is astonishing. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands.
And she makes sure the entire enterprise is productive. She rises while it is still night to manage her household and assign tasks to her servants.
That rising while it's still night, that's not just about being an early bird. It's about strategic timing, managing resources and staff before the workday even technically begins.
Yes. And the text notes her lamp is not extinguished at night. This signals not just long hours, but productive work. She's seeing that her gain is good. It's this sustained, disciplined effort.
But the truly revolutionary image for me is when she's described as being like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar.
Right. Think about what that implies in the ancient world. If you are importing goods from afar, you are using long-distance caravan routes and trade networks.
You're managing a global supply chain.
Before the concept of a global supply chain even existed, she isn't just shopping at the local market. She's ensuring her family has the best provisions, things imported from other regions.
She's basically a chief procurement officer. But her financial power doesn't stop with imports. She's also a capital investor.
She's a landowner. She appraises a field and buys it. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard. This is not just domestic budgeting. This is major real estate investment.
And it's so easy for a modern listener to just gloss over what that verse means. I mean, buying a field required legal standing.
And documentation, and the ability to command enough capital for a long-term investment like a vineyard.
It was a massive statement of legal and economic power.
It was. And our sources confirm that archaeological findings, like legal tablets from places like Gugurit, show that capable women of means were definitely involved in these kinds of complex dealings.
So this wasn't completely unprecedented, but it highlights her extraordinary competence.
It does. She has the business acumen to see an undervalued property and the capital to invest in production for future yield.
And she's vertically integrated, too. She isn't just buying, she's manufacturing and exporting.
Right, she controls the supply chain from raw materials, the wool and flax, all the way to the finished product. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchants.
So she's dealing directly with the merchant class, setting prices.
Managing a robust textile trade business. Her entire body is involved. It says she girds herself with strength and shows that her arms are strong. This is skill, stamina, and shrewd strategy all blended together.
Now, despite all this intense economic focus, her chayil is balanced by this deep moral character and social awareness.
Her diligence translates directly into dignity and generosity.
The text highlights her preparedness as the source of her confidence. Because she's so meticulous, she has no fear for her household when it snows.
Right, because they're clothed in quality provision, she prepares for the future.
She anticipates seasons of hardship.
And that preparation allows her to clothe herself not just in fine linen, but in strength and honor. That is her true garment. And because of her competence and planning, she can literally laugh at the days to come.
Which isn't recklessness.
No, it's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have managed your life and your resources wisely.
And that confidence, that resource, it has to flow outward. It mirrors the king's responsibility we talked about earlier.
Exactly. She opens her arms to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She's practicing covenant living, ensuring the wealth she generates doesn't become a source of selfish isolation, but a source of community care.
They're both charged with the same principle.
Defending and caring for the vulnerable.
And her influence extends beyond just her physical work or her checkbook. Her speech is equally refined.
Yes. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Her counsel is valuable. She's clearly a respected figure whose wisdom is sought after.
And all of this work, it undergirds her husband's public success. It secures his reputation at the highest level of civic life.
That's a key point. Her husband is known at the city gates, sitting among the elders. The city gate was the nerve center of ancient life.
It was the courthouse and the stock exchange all in one.
It was. And his honor is secured because her management allows him the freedom and the status to participate effectively in that public sphere.
And the praise she gets is a public validation of all this competence. Her children and her husband praise her openly, and it culminates in her husband's acclaim. Many daughters have done noble things, but you surpass them all.
So we've documented her deeds, her economic strategy, her generosity.
But the poem reserves the final, pivotal statement, the real anchor for the one thing that truly matters.
Which is character.
Yes, character. It serves as the ultimate corrective to the whole list of accomplishments. The text first warns against focusing on the superficial. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting.
These external traits, they're unreliable, they're temporary, they just don't last.
But the lasting source of praise, the core competency, is internal.
A woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
And this fear, it has to be understood not as terror,
Right, it's reverence.
Ah.
Submission to the moral order of the universe. And this links her character directly back to the very first teaching in the entire book of Proverbs. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
So all her strategic capability, her economic power, her managerial strength,
it all flows from that one foundational spiritual reverence. That is the source of true Chayil.
And her reward isn't fame or flattery while she's alive. It's legacy. It's enduring impact.
Absolutely. Give her the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her at the gates. Her works follow her to the public square, the very place where her husband's honor was secured. She is publicly honored for the tangible, enduring impact of her disciplined and ethical life.
So what does this all mean for us today? This deep dive shows that this portrait isn't some meek figure. It's a strategic powerhouse, a picture of ethical investment, comprehensive competence, and spiritual depth.
And the practical lessons are entirely timeless. Trustworthiness, diligence, planning wisely, practicing radical generosity, prioritizing internal character over external flash.
These are virtues for anyone.
For anyone seeking to lead and to thrive. The text redefines strength not as physical might or inherited status, but as moral character, economic capability, and the quiet strategic ability to face the future with complete confidence.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to mull over. This ancient framework, where demonstrated competence, that Chayil and reverence for the divine are the ultimate praise, it fundamentally challenges modern success metrics that are based solely on visible achievement or external charm or market cap.
So the question to think about is this. If this text were written about you today, what specific works would be praising you at the gates? What does your comprehensive strength and capability look like, and how is it serving your community and those in need?
Think about that until the next deep dive.